This podcast contains material that may not be suitable for everyone, including but not limited to adult language and situations. Under 18 should only listen with adult consent. Listener's discretion is advised. Hello everyone, welcome to High on Paranormal. I'm Carlos. Today, this is the skippable episode, meaning I don't have any stories, so if you would like to skip it, you can go right ahead. This one is more about just introducing myself, and basically I thought that I should put a little bit about who I am. Why am I making the podcast? What to expect from it, and why does it look so crazy so far when it comes to the order and everything that I have on it? You know, what kind of ideas I may have with it or something like that. And mainly more so that I can have like a time capsule of, you know, this fun project. So it's a good thing to just look back and enjoy some of the things that we've done in life. Now, I took notes because, well, I tend to ramble a lot. And so I'm going to be checking out some of the notes in my phone if it seems like I'm reading out loud or something like that, because at times it's easier to just put what I just wrote. I may mute my mic for a moment or two if I got a cough or something like that. I do have a coffee here with me. I am used to talking a lot since I work as an interpreter, English and Spanish, which is also part of how this project just keeps getting more and more complicated, because I'm the kind of person that always has to have a project going on. So, married, 2 kids, amazing, beautiful wife, and we have another podcast called New Parents for the Second Time, which is how we started with this whole thing, because I came up with the idea of doing a audio diary for, 12 years later, we got a daughter. We forgot everything about it, basically, so it feels like we're brand new at it, hence the name. And then after I started that, might as well just stop there, enjoy all the ideas that I already had with it, and I was too lazy or afraid to try it. Like, I wanted to do a parenting one, like, from the dad's point of view, since my son was born 12 years ago and I never got into it. I don't really like to be the ones to put their faces on Facebook and whatnot, so shy like that. And so from there, this one came out to be out of the frustration of all the other TV shows, podcasts, and so on. I don't know. I'm pretty sure some of you can actually, understand where I'm coming from, because every single thing that you're watching, and I'm not picking on any in specific. Now, you gotta go dig really, really deep in the rabbit hole to find something worthwhile, that it doesn't have how many clicks, views, downloads, or streams can I get out of it. I'll be honest, the one that I am got no problem like just naming out loud. It's whatever destination, ghost destination, paranormal destination, sack something. Holy cow, if you're talking about fake, that's worse than when ghost hunters got caught, pulling the string on the other guy's sweater. But now, I think those might be the only 2 that I would ever call out again. Because I do want to keep it where I want to learn. I want to take the good stuff from other shows and the bad stuff so that I don't use it in my liking and what my vision is of this project. Which is like me just talking to the void. Maybe, I think at the end of the whole thing is for me to 20, 30 years from now have a whole bunch of stories that I can just go back and listen to in the format that I wanted to. Although I'm still going to be upset at the voice because I don't like to hear myself. So I feel like sound very funny, but I think we all feel that way. So now, as I'm learning all of this is all brand new to me. As I said at first, I'm a Spanish interpreter. I've been doing that for over 10 years. I have my own business. That's my first and foremost. That's my baby, aside from my 2 real babies and then my fur babies. But without this baby, there are no other babies. And so that's why I have my main focus on that. That's my business. And so I love what I do. It's entertaining and you'll learn something all the time, especially since I specialize in the legal field. Very interested when you're interested in the legal field, obviously. From that, when you add the kids, the newborn, and all of that, which she's 7 months now, it's just too much. You also got to put in consideration that I am actively making sure that I am a part-time stay-home dad. So, because of my main business as well. So, it's a very big juggling act to then decide, you know what, I'm going to make a podcast. And that's going to be very simple and easy. It's just going to go in, talk, tell our week, 2 weeks, diary for us, a journal. Yeah, maybe it will help our kids when they get kids and so on and so forth. Then this one came along. Then I started to think, well, you know what? I wanted to read Jason some books when he was a kid, but I never did. We're going on the same track with Ellie. So, you know what? I'm going to make a podcast about reading stories. I haven't put any episodes on that yet, but I made the whole thing just to make sure the name is there. I'm going to... so now you got 3 podcasts right there where back in September I had none. And no intention or idea of getting into any of this. And then because I'm a Spanish interpreter and I still got plenty of family in Latin America who do not speak English, I want them to be able to be part of the fun. So guess what? Now I got to make a Spanish version of it. And that's when then it also comes to how do I make them? Well, I'm going to have to make copies of them. I want the Spanish version and the English version to mirror each other. The only difference there is in time is because of when you're speaking in one language and another one, words tend to be longer and shorter. And so, but then I've been trying to figure out how to do it, because I try to get information from other podcasters. If you listen, if you like, true crime and paranormal and all of that, I will recommend you listen to Weird Darkness with Darren Marlar. Great podcast. I mean, the guy has so much experience. He's so good at it. But, every so often he will give you tidbits of information that you don't normally hear about how making the process and stuff like that. At one point I commented on Facebook, like how long it takes an episode. Well, it depends, but average about 8 hours, 7 hours in a day or something between, putting everything together, finding the stories, editing, sound, and holy cow, that's way too much. I mean, that's a job. That's his job. That's his passion, like it is to me interpreting and translating and that stuff. So you can feel the passion in his podcast. Like, wow, right? Now, there are other podcasts that you're going to hear out there that you expect to have quality because of the producers, like when you have Wondery. If you hear a Wondery podcast that sounds like mine, you know that that's not even being made because it's just too low of a quality. But when you're listening to American Storytellers or what's the other one? Against the Odds, or there's another one that they have, I forget. But like, I think they also have Anatomy of Murder or something like that. I don't know, but I stopped listening to that one because it really felt like a TV show to produce, in my opinion. It's still really well done. It's like listening to the TV. But this guy is like Marler, he really loves this. Like, he just started working fully on this, quit his job. I mean, after several years, overnight success usually takes 5 to 10 years behind it. And he's definitely put more than 10 years behind it. And so all of those things, I started to think, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. Maybe it's not as scary. In fact, actually, the only reason I started doing it is because Darren Marlar mentioned Spreaker app. And I went in to look into it. I was like, this is pretty interesting. So I started using the app and playing with it and stuff. A few times almost pressed the live button. That's a scary feeling. And then it is actually pretty easy to use. Then I found out that, in September I made like $1.50. Actually, I think I'm $1.49 with about 250 downloads in the 3 podcasts. And we're rocking it, aren't we? Hey, but that's about 259 more. That's 250 out of the 259 that I wasn't expecting to have. So, I really thought it was just going to be talking to the void. And so, that's where all these changes come in. I'm trying to figure out, hey, you know what? I need to put a warning, because I hear people in other episodes that even with a warning, they still complain, oh my God, that was too much rough language. Well, I'm making sure that I'm putting it on the website and everything. This is not for kids. This is going to be rough talk. This is going to be, this is me talking to me. And everybody else is welcome in the conversation type of thing. So, with that said, I don't really watch my mouth. I don't try to talk just in curses and, but I don't really watch my mouth. If the story calls for it, if the person writes it, I'm not going to eliminate it. Marler one time got like some hate mail. And again, that's one of those things that he gets, and people will usually just read the good stuff, not the bad one. He reads all of it and then gives you an honest answer, which is very respectful, honest, and, that bastard really freaking does it well. Like, fuck, he's really good. Anyway, but like, oh, you used the N-word and you used the other thing. You should have changed the story to say it. Well, I told you at the beginning, it's a book written at the beginning of the 1900s, and that's the language used. This is, you keeping the purity of what it was done. You can't change history just to make us comfortable. Because the moment that we do that, we repeat it again, and then that's going to be not uncomfortable. That's going to be going through hell. So we can't just ignore it, Like, I was listening to the Tulsa riots on American Storyteller, and I literally told my wife, you know what? This is one of those seasons and episodes that is just, it's pissing me the hell off. And I have to listen to an episode, and I got to push through that one episode and then stop, listen to something else, go back to it, because I get pissed off listening to it with how screwed up things were back then. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please do yourself a favor. Go to wherever you listen to it and listen to American Storytellers, the riots, and then the Tulsa riots. And then just start from the beginning, because, oh my God, it's addicting. But railing it all back in. You see why I have to write everything up and try to stick to it? So basically, by putting both episodes in it, in English and Spanish, it allows me to be able to actually have the main focus of this episode, which is not to make money. This is a fun project. That it costs $20 a month for a website on Spreaker to have this running. And you know what? Any place that you go to or do anything else, it's going to be a lot more expensive than $20. Shit, just go and play bowling by yourself. It's going to cost you $20 for a couple of hours. I get a full month of, at least having fun preparing for it, making stuff up in my head, seeing what I want to do, how I want to do it. And it keeps the purity of, I'm really curious about the paranormal, and I really believe that there is a puzzle to it. How does everything fit together? I use the same examples, like, I'm sorry, I gotta drink some coffee, I'm thirsty. But I use the same example as, let's say, take a book collection, the Harry Potters or whatever you want to use. If you take one book alone and you preach it like the gospel, then you're going to be right based on just that information. But if you close your mind to everything else and all the other books are fake, then you see where I'm going, right? So you need to have the whole thing, the whole sequel. You can't divide it by chapters and think you got the answer. You need to read it all. And that's what I'm trying to do here. You can't take, how many times have you ever made a puzzle and then you have a piece that, I'm pretty sure it fits here. It's just a little bit off angle. Push it in. Well, then you find the right piece. That's what's going on here. And by that I mean, how does reincarnation, God, limbo, being in penance, all of those things, aliens, Bigfoot, not mentioning Mothman because as my personal preference and belief, I don't believe in that one. Yes, I do believe that Bigfoot could be real. I don't know. But I'm not keeping my mind saying, it's impossible, because we find plenty of animals alive often that we never knew existed. And so, try to get to those conjectures. How does, my grandmother, my grandmother's sister, which was like a grandmother to me, Tia Cefe, she would tell me when I was telling her about how I would like to make this project a few years ago. She passed away a year and change ago. And she was very, very Catholic. She used to teach catechism and, so you can get ready for your communion and stuff like that. And, not just the preacher, religious lady, fervent, she was very loving, very sweet. Oh my goodness, everybody loved her. When she passed away, it was a line, around the block to say goodbye to her. Very sweet lady. Never had kids on her own, but she had 1,000 sons and daughters everywhere. And so, Carlos, anything spiritual or whatnot going around here, that's not from God. That's from evil, from the devil. So whatever you're planning on doing, don't do it. Like even watching those movies. But okay, fine. But just don't go exploring, because it will follow you. She puts it as, imagine that you have your house, and you open the windows, you open the doors, you open the gates, everything around it, and then you just leave and go to sleep and all that stuff. It might not look like there's anything out there until the moment you least expect it. And that's how they work. They're looking always for an opportunity. They're always going around demons, bad entities and stuff to try to get their way in however they need to, even if they gotta act like your friend and family. So stay away from all of that. And so, again, part of what I'm doing is trying to find balance on that, because I don't want to go investigating, because I do believe it could bring something back to my house. But I also do want to find more before I die and then find out in person. You know what I mean? And so, okay. this is a moment for us to take a quick commercial break. Your chance to go to the bathroom, refill your bowl, get a drink, or just go on a full-on attack on those munchies. Now, the other thing I'm thinking, for example, remaster. I've seen a lot of podcasts who remaster or play archives. And I mean, that's a great idea if you only got a limited amount of space of what episodes to upload and you don't have the ability to upload something right now. Yeah, let me bring you like the oldest version or whatnot. But I've seen that a lot of them do like, okay, you only got 20 episodes and you're already putting, the one from 5 weeks ago back on, or remastered, and there's really no change to it. If you ever see a remaster of mine, I'm thinking that I would only do it because the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth episode and like the first 20 episodes are going to have to be redone because they sound like shit, let's be honest. But I don't want to delete them. Other friends have told me, and family, and you can always delete them later and just replace them once you get better. But I don't want to do that because, again, it's a time capsule. I can always go back and listen to the very first one and everything. And it's an example for my own kids and nephews and nieces, just give it a shot. You're gonna sound like shit. You're gonna fail at first. It's gonna look ridiculous and everything else you want to put in there. But if you're having fun and you're enjoying it, and you will do it anyways, because I remember me and my cousins used to play making radio shows, Radio Pecueca, when we were kids and stuff like that. So that's Stinky Feet Radio, in case you were wondering. And so it's just fun. And from there, I feel like it would be like a true remaster. Oh, you hear this mess on the first one? Holy cow. Also, I'm not an actor, so I don't want to go in a world where people farted a lot. I can't do that. I actually try to do that with a warning. This podcast, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't come out. And I wasn't even acting. I was using my interpreting voice. Because when I'm interpreting, I use an equipment, kind of like the ones that you see on tourists and stuff, that somebody has one with a microphone and everybody else has like a portable radio with headphones. That's what I use. And I give the people the headphones, they put them on, and I'm whispering into my microphone. And when I'm talking, I'm basically talking at this level. So I'm just like talking from the back of my throat, not really putting an intonation and just keeping it low. Because a lot of people talk, when they're talking like this, they talk and that makes a lot of noise, especially in a room like a court that it does a lot of echo. Or people that, that's horrible. So I figured out that for me to be able to do it properly and be able to talk to the person and have him hear me, I have to speak at this level. And I tried this voice when doing the service, the warning. It didn't work. I sound creepy, very creepy. So even my wife said, like, yeah, no, you sound like you're doing it too much. Obviously, we do have funny voices that we use at home, and I would like to do a project later on of stories, especially when we're doing like the kids storytelling. Like my son has a nerdy voice. Oh my God, it's hilarious, all of it. And a British voice that has my wife. So we want to put all of that into like the kids stories. Actually have fun with that. But yeah, I wish I could do a talk like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dr. No Sleep, the SBC Foundation, and I think he came out with a new one. They're out there. That guy, he has that voice that when he's talking, it just sounds so damn natural that you're jealous of it. And then he does all the subtle different voices. It's, so freaking good. You should listen to those. Really good. So, other things that I wanted to talk quickly, because now it's, 25 minutes in. Holy cow, I'm sorry, people. If you're still listening to over here, kudos. Because I'm pretty sure that the only one that would be listening this far in, it would be me years down the road. I don't want to be recycling stories. Again, all of this is based on true stuff, so it's simple. like my I was going to say who it was, but they don't want to be outed like that. But there was this person, Anna, who submitted a few stories to me, short stories. I already read a couple of those. And this last one, I was like, hey, by the way, the audio was cut off and I didn't get the last part. So she sends me the rest of it and it says, this is a pretty crappy story. This is not scary or suspenseful. It's just very bland. And I get it, but that's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is I'm not promising you that I'm going to scare you shitless every day or whenever I post. I'm not promising you a schedule posting. I'm not promising you any of that. I'm promising you that I will try to put in the best effort that I can for an episode that I will enjoy. And hopefully you will enjoy it as well. But other than that, I want to focus on either lore and cryptics, let's say, but that they have some ass behind it, I guess. Like, let's say La Llorona. I just heard the other day for the first time ever on a podcast called it's in Spanish, horror historias de terror, terror stories. So, and it's a completely different version of the Llorona, of the myth that we all know. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And when I heard it, I was like, oh my God, that would make sense if you actually listen to it. And so I'm trying to see if I can reach out to them. I want to use it. I don't think I heard anything on the podcast that it says that it can be used, especially if I'm giving them the credit for it. Either way, you should go listen to them if you speak Spanish. I don't think they have anything in English. But yeah, like over here, I'm in upstate New York. So I'm in this area. It is a minefield of history, lore, folklore, and everything else. From the French Indian War, the Underground Railroad, and many locations of it. Now, for those who don't know, because I mentioned it to a few people, and they're like, so where are the tracks? It's not a track, it's not a railroad, it's just like a network of, because remember, I do know there are a few people outside of the U.S. Listen to this, so for them. It's a network of hideaways and hideouts for people. So I will put my house as a stop on the network, on the railroad. And people will be able to come here. The slave will be able to come into my house, and I will hide them until they're able to be moved to the next location, until they got to their safe haven, let's say. And so whether Canada or areas in upstate New York. And so in other states. Now, from there, let's see. I know of at least 3 places here that they always come out in some paranormal TV shows. We actually met the ghost hunter people when they were staying at a hotel my wife used to work at, because they came to investigate several places here in Rochester, like the public library and all of that stuff. The Rolling Hills Asylum, the Bath Poorhouse, it's called. And then I think it's the Bath Poorhouse. It's the Poorhouse. Bethany, not Bath. Bethany Poorhouse in New York. There is the Fox Sisters house, literally about an hour from me, where my mind is just going crazy in ideas how to make it, because I didn't want to do YouTube, but then I had to, because apparently in Venezuela, some family and friends can't get to Amazon and Google Podcasts and all of those, so they do everything so YouTube. And so I posted all the episodes there on a blank screen, but at least they can hear them. But the Lady in White from Duran Eastman Park, all of that one is like 5 minutes from my mother-in-law's house. So everything like that, I would love to be able to actually, folklore, not for the hell of folklore. Oh, well, the Mothman and, these are the Google Rugu. No. It's not my local stuff or whatever. I did hear of a Goatman or whatever, which I obviously, no, Pigman, Goatman, I don't know, which is like 3 hours away from here. I think it just would be fun to, I love driving, so I think it would just be fun to go drive over there, get on the bridge, stop on the road, and just film the episode from over there. Because I really doubt there's going to be a Pigman coming out. Pigman, I think it is. And so that's that part. And then any story where basically if you tell me it's a true story, it happened to me, well, guess what? We don't really have ways to prove shit like that. So I'm taking it for your word. It's an honor system. That way we can all try to get to the same information, exchange ideas, exchange, not to just be able to maybe help each other out. Somebody may have there's a podcast I listen to where they tell you, and listen, just make sure you close your eyes and be ready. Say a prayer so that you don't become the next star on our show and we will talk about your story because you're being hunted. No. I'm not promising you any of that. Like I said, it's just what is being introduced to me as true stories, and let's break it down and see how they all fit together. That's it. That's all there is. If I would ever get to make any money out of it, and I only bring it up because there are ads on the thing at the beginning, at the end, and sometimes the Spreaker makes me put a one in the middle if it goes for too long. I'm only putting the minimum that I can put in. And that's just because, I think I get like a penny for every set listened to. So it's not like I'm going to, like I said, starting in September. It's March 1st, and I made $1.59 out of 259 downloads. So whatever math that works out to be. But it's fun. It's interesting. It's actually a pretty interesting learning curve. And so now, let me read over here in my notes to see what I'm missing. Now, one thing that I believe is how do you keep, again, because I don't care about making the money on it, I got to make sure that if this ever does get to that I wouldn't be just, how do we make more money? So there's one thing that I'm always thinking about, which I put a lot into practice with my own business, which is, I use the gasoline in the car example. You don't buy a car just so that you can work it and buy gas and storage so that you can build up all the gas. Well, the car is your business. The gas is the money. You need gas. You need money to run your business. But the point of the business is not just to hoard the money. It's to actually be able to use that money to provide services and enhance the services. So when you are putting a business, you need money to start it because you want to provide a service. You see a gap, you see whatever, you want to fill that gap on that service. That's what money is to a business. And a lot of people forget that. And it's like if you get a car and work it just so that you can get a lot of money and go buy gas because that's what makes the car run. Well, you bought the car to go drive around and go to work and go on vacations and have fun with your family and have some, freedom and whatnot. You didn't buy the car with the only purpose of getting more gas. I'm going to invest a little bit of gas in the car. No, because you got to remember, there are plenty of other parts to the car that you need to invest also to get it running. If you're only buying gas to be able to have something to go and you're not changing the spark plugs and you're not doing oil changes and you're not changing the headlights, you're going to not be able to use it anyway, no matter how much money you have. It's going to be driving like crap. That's what happens with a business. If you have a business that your main goal is to have profits and not to bring it back into the business itself, whether you're investing on paying better salaries, better equipment, upgrading systems, upgrading processes, office party, whatever the case would be. All of that, if you take care of your spark plugs, accountants, your brakes, your mechanics, your maintenance, your everybody. You can't have a CEO without a body to go with it. So with all of that, and I'm sorry I keep going on tangents and on the side, it's basically, that's what allows me to think already in advance, you know what? what would happen if I dream big and like Amazon comes and says, Carlos, we want to buy your podcast for $100,000 to come to us, and you're only making like, $5,000 a month. We'll offer you 100 a month. Come to us. I mean, I think at first I will shit my pants, and second of all, I will shit my pants, and then I will want to do it, and then I will have to fight myself not to do it, because it eliminates the flow of what I want to do, which is exchange information. And when you go into a paywall, there's no information exchange. And so, like YouTube, I don't expect any money from YouTube ever, that I would ever make anything there, because honestly, I mean, my son was telling me you need like 1,000 this and 4,000 of that or whatever and whatnot. Yeah, no, sure, right, okay. I mean, I get it. Mr. Beast, oh, that bastard, I love him. He literally just, I farted, 2 million views. But, I will have to fart on his face so that I can get 2 million views, something like that. But my point being, that's what I want to make sure it just stays like that. I thought that even like all the Spreaker people and whatnot, and somebody suggested you could do Spreaker. Yes, well, that opens that conversation. But you're going to be leaving money on the table. It's $5. It's a paywall. But, okay, let's say then in that case, $1 a month for no commercials. That's it. That's the difference. $1 a month, no commercials, or you can just be cool and listen to the commercials and save yourself the money. That's what I do. If I like a podcast, I support them by listening to their commercials and give you that penny per episode that I listen to. I mean, I listened to like 20,000 hours last year, so 20 to 30,000 hours of podcasting. So there's plenty of episodes with commercials there. But it's also an opportunity to enhance my abilities and practice more. For example, I do a lot of reading every day, basically every week, documents and plea agreements and stuff like that, from English to Spanish to English and so on. But it's a very, monotone read. Over here, I've been struggling, as you can hear in the first episode, with trying to read them like, it sounds so robotic. So now I'm making a change. Starting on the next episode, I'm putting people to their own story. If they're okay with me not reading it and they send it to me in audio, putting it on there, then I will just put on the headphones, listen to the story, and do like if I'm at work. I'll listen to the story and just start recording the interpretation of it. It would be a lot easier for me than just reading it and not sounding so mechanical. Except that's going to have to happen whenever I'm doing the live stuff. I am not editing the stuff out because honestly, this all takes a lot of time already as it is. Because I got to put it in English and I got to put it in Spanish. And then now I'm going to have to put it on YouTube too so that, my friends and family can actually listen to them. And so it's a lot of work. And I honestly want it to sound natural. It's just a fun time. Now, yes, I've been putting a lot of effects and stuff like that because I also wanted to make it appealing for everybody else to be engaged and actually listen to the stories. Maybe somebody who knows how to deal with them can provide some advice to the person or something like that. That would be the ultimate goal and stuff. But that's the point. It's just to keep an open conversation, an open thing going on. Anyway, I've been going on forever. I seriously doubt anybody's going to listen to this. So good job to me. And now imagine what would have happened if I didn't wrote down what I wanted to talk about. Well, thank you so much if anybody's still listening to this after all this time. It must be because somebody has you tied up, punishing you, and you got no way to change it. And so aside from this, I'm working on the other episode. I'm trying to make a few little changes on it to see if it's not too much of editing, kind of like, if it comes out, you'll see. But I'm hoping that these are more like the type of formats that I'll be able to use with it. And then, that's it. We got the Facebook pages, the YouTube channels now and stuff like that. So if you want to leave your comments or whatever, that would be great. Have a good one, everyone. And remember, if you need interpreting services, reach out to Aguirre Language Services, AGUIRRE, languageservices.com. And we can help you with whatever you need. Bye.